Ted Cohen, DPM, 940 Western Avenue, Albany, New York, 12203.
And is that your professional address or is that your home address?
Both.
Give me your definition of surgery.
My definition of surgery is treatment on the any part of the foot related to a cutting procedure of one kind or another, whether it be soft tissue or bony.
Did you see patients in your office at 940 Western Avenue?
Yes.
And when was the last time you saw patients at that office?
In April of 2006.
And when did you inform the patients that you were closing that office?
March 20th.
Of 2006?
Mm-hmm.
And yes?
Yes.
And how did you inform them?
By letter.
Did you send a letter to Mrs. Geschwind or to her daughter?
I thought I had, but she informed me that I hadn't. And there were some letters that didn't get out in a timely fashion. And it was my fault that that happened. Some of them I had in a desk, and for some reason I forgot I had them there. And she called me up. I remember we had a conversation. She said she hadn't received the letter. Well, one of the reasons that I ended practice as quickly as I did was because she told me she was leaving, and she gave me a certain time that she was leaving. And I thought, well, that's going to be problematic for me because I didn't really do the billing. And I felt, well, I've got a finite period of time here, and I better, you know, although it would be hasty, I better put a stop to the practice or I'm not going to be able to bill a lot of these different insurances because I wasn't used to doing it, and I was afraid, you know, there'd be a drop-off in whatever income was out there. So I had to put a hasty, you know, it was unfortunate, but I had to get out somewhat quickly, more quickly than I really wanted to.
And did you see patients between the time she gave her notice and the time that she left at the end of April?
Yes.
And did you see them both at your office and at other homes and places like that?
Yes, up until probably around the middle to the beginning to middle of April. I saw patients in the office, but they weren't very many at all, just some of my long-term patients that, you know, for obvious reasons, with my hasty getting out of the profession, they requested another visit before I got out, and I wanted to oblige them. But I saw very few patients in April.
After Carol Lussier left, did you have any other employees?
No.
When did you commence working for CVS?
November of 2007.
What did you do between April of 2006 and November of 2007?
Nothing.
When you went over these records and you reviewed them in preparation for your testimony, did you change anything in them?
No.
When was the last time you made any changes on those records?
Well, I take that back. I did make one change. I made a change in the toe. If you look at the visit of 227, I made a change, I believe, in the toe from the left to the right, because on that date, the superficial ulcer was on the right second toe.
Okay, and when did you make that change?
I believe I made the change when I realized that I had made a mistake. I believe I was looking at the I was looking at the lab form, and I realized I put in superficial ulcer left second toe, when indeed it wasn't the left second toe.
The question is when you make the change.
When did I make the change?
Yeah.
right around the time of 227 when I put in the lab requisition. I realized I put it in for the wrong toe.
So when is the last time you made any changes to your records?
That was it.
And when was that?
At the end of February
Of
2006.
So when you put the requisition in for the lab, you put it in as the left toe.
Right.
Correct.
That's correct.
And subsequently you changed it to read that it was the right toe.
That's correct. Vince was.
Well, let's talk about your records. When do you prepare your records?
When I'm in the office, I usually dictate what transpired, either right after I saw the patient or at the end of the day.
What if you're not
But
in the office?
I would write it out first so that I would have at least, you know, something to work with. Then I would embellish on it later in the day after I saw patients.
What if you were out at, well, specifically with regard to Mrs. Geschwind, when did you create the records?
It could have well been that evening. I probably wrote something down. But I may not have, you know, wrote down everything until that evening.
And when would you do that, at home?
Right.
So.
Or, I mean, in the office. In the office.
And did you dictate or did you write it?
I would write it. I didn't take my dictation equipment with me when I went to the house.
Now, you'll agree with me that when you wrote out the records for 227, everything you wrote out was for the left toe.
Object to the form. You can answer.
Everything that I wrote out was for the left toe?
Yes.
There had been some work done on other areas of the feet.
Well, the parts that you later changed were all
Yes.
concerning the second
Yes, I
toe on the left
originally
foot.
put it down as the left.